On the resolution, all those in favor that the delegates to the American Postal Workers Union 21st Biannual Convention assembly here in Los Angeles, California, proudly endorses Barack Obama for President of the United States of America. Say aye. And
that's delegates unanimously endorsing President Barack Obama for re-election. Hi, I'm Celeste Crenshaw, and you're watching highlights from the 21st Biennial Convention of the American Postal Workers Union. Before they took action, delegates viewed a video message from the president.
Hello, everybody. I want to thank your president, Cliff Guffey, for his leadership, and I want to thank all of you for standing up every day for American workers. Together, you represent what's best about this country. Your work isn't easy, but day in and day out, you perform a service that keeps our entire economy on track. America depends on you to get the job done. Now, I know that job has gotten tougher over the last decade, even before we were hit with the worst economic crisis of our lifetimes. That's why our mission right now is not just to recover from the recession. It's to restore that sense of security that folks have been missing. Our goal isn't just to put people back to work. It's to build an economy where hard work pays off again. That's why I've called for smart investments in things like American manufacturing, education, and energy that will help us build an economy that lasts. And that's why we're pushing back against the assault on unions, because the values you stand for, hard work, responsibility, looking out for one another, these aren't just union values, they're American values. And that's why we're fighting to make sure the United States Postal Service keeps delivering for the American people. I know we can do it, and as long as you stand with me, I promise to stand with you. Thanks, and have a great convention.
Mike Reed, director of the Legislative and Political Department, made the motion to endorse.
I rise to support the resolution for the Formal Resolutions Committee. I don't think this resolution is something that should consume a lot of our time. We were very proud to endorse President Obama in his election in 2008. We still feel as strongly about him as we ever have. His opponent and his economic team has overwhelmingly urged the Republican Party to privatize the United States Postal Service and cause the loss of thousands of our members' jobs. This is something we cannot afford to undertake and allow to go forward. So I urge the delegates not spend a lot of time with this. Our choice is obvious. I urge the delegates to support the resolution to endorse President Obama for re-election in 2012. Thank you.
Reed says the union is geared up to support President Obama and other candidates who support postal workers.
Well, of course, we have the presidential election. We have a choice between people who are pro-labor and who support our causes, and those who don't, those who have pledged to destroy the Postal Service and the American labor movement as we know it. There are Senate candidates who have been involved in restructuring of the Postal Service, providing feedback and help to the Postal Service to let them survive, to provide good middle-class jobs for our members. There will be House candidates. The House of Representatives is particularly important to us. There's legislation that's moving through the House of Representatives, H.R. 2309, which would destroy the Postal Service as we know it, and we need to replace these politicians who are in office and who are not going to do anything good for our members, who are only there to destroy the Postal Service for their ideological reasons.
The APWU will be working with other groups to turn out the vote in November.
The American Postal Workers Union, of course, is a member of the AFL-CIO, and we will work with the AFL-CIO, other working Americans, anybody who believes we need a progressive agenda to support the working people. APWU will be a part of it and will work hard to support that cause. Shortly after the convention is over with, we will be releasing people to work with the AFL-CIO and Workers' Voice to go out and support candidates that we think will help the American working people.
The president of the AFL-CIO, Richard Trumka, addressed the convention delegates and urged their support for the president.
You see, President Obama has taken the United States through a tough time, and he's done it with courage, and he's done it with conviction. He supported our veterans and our military families. And let's not forget who was the commander-in-chief when Osama bin Laden was brought to justice, courtesy of SEAL Team 6. See, this summer, President Obama called on Congress to bring good jobs home. and to end the tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires, and to extend tax cuts for the middle class. And the far right and the 1% has been pounding him ever since. You see, they like things the way they are. So what's the problem? Well, if Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan and the right wing say that we can't pay for better schools and safe highways, if we can't afford teachers and postal workers, if we can't keep our promises to public workers, if we can't afford 6-day mail service, well, we sure as hell can't afford any more tax breaks for those millionaires and billionaires and corporations that make us so much money they can't carry it away. Now, Romney, he said, and I quote, "Let Detroit go bankrupt." Think about that. The most important industry in the country, let it go bankrupt. Millions more would have been out of work. Well, President Obama took the hard road, and he saved the auto industry. And guess what? They're hiring in Detroit right now, and they're hiring in Ohio and Indiana and Illinois and Kentucky and all the other states where we have auto workers. And I'm sure you know about this one, but I got to tell you anyway, Cliff. He just flat out lied. Mitt Romney flat out lied about the Postal Service. He said that the change of address form is 32 pages long. Well, it's a damn postcard. I mean, one thing. I'll be honest with you, Cliff. I don't believe Mitt Romney's ever gone to a post office. I believe he outsources that as well. And he doesn't respect our contracts. He doesn't even respect small business. He thinks the people who make America work are the problem. And Barack Obama knows that workers are the solution, not the problem.
In other convention business, delegates approved a resolution to reassess the size and composition of the National Executive Council. Chuck Pugar, chair of the Constitution Committee, says the resolution was the result of extensive discussion.
The longer history is through numerous conventions, there's been efforts to right size or even argue about whether right sizing was proper or not. As they came to the floor individually, there was feelings and emotions and intent and questions about all sides of it. The short of it was most of the time they failed. That set the convention in 2010 in motion to task the National Executive Council to come up with a comprehensive resolution that could come back to this floor. I think it was self-evident that all the delegates at this convention, or at least the overwhelming majority of delegates at this convention, realized that the organization needed this mechanism that wasn't previously there.
Delegates also voted to amend the Constitution to give APWU retirees the right to vote for the 3 general officers: President, Executive Vice President, and Secretary-Treasurer, and the directors of the Legislative, Political, Human Relations, and Health Plan departments. Retirees say this change will enable them to be more active in the union's efforts to preserve the Postal Service and save postal jobs.
Microphone number 9. Byron Denton, retiree delegate, Western Region.
You're welcome.
I just want to thank all of you people that supported us. We're going to give you the 100% that we've always given you.
Now, come on, delegates. We just got through saying don't applaud or boo. What do you want?
Brothers and sisters, I want to tell you, I'm 84 years old. I wanted to see this happen before I die, and I think my kid said I'm good for another 80 years.
We were notified that they were going to close the White River Junction plant in September of last year, and we started organizing rallies. We contacted our delegation, got them involved. We staged a lot of pickets to bring to the public the awareness of how the changes would affect the public, their mailing. They initially scheduled the public hearing for the closure on December 21st, just before Christmas, and in New Hampshire, across the river in another state. Senator Sanders was instrumental in getting that changed. We have a VA hospital right in White River Junction, which supplies veterans with medication through the mail that we handle every day. Who knows how long that was going to be delayed. The Occupy Upper Valley group was very key in helping us get our message out. They helped us create signs for our pickets. They went to offices all around the state, distributed leaflets, got the people out, got the public out. The Vermont Workers Center and the Vermont AFL-CIO were just tremendous. So we owe a debt of gratitude to those two groups as well. So when we finally had our meeting on January 4th, we had it at the American Legion building in White River Junction, and it was a packed house. Governor Shumlin, Peter Shumlin, came down and spoke. All of the legislators came down. Senator Sanders, Senator Leahy, Congressman Welch, they all spoke very eloquently. There was not a person in the public who was in favor of the postal plan. It was just very well attended and very well supported. I think it's very gratifying that we have such support from our legislators. Ultimately, we were put on the, we were taken off the closure list for now. They told us that they'll revisit that in 2014. I think it's great that we've had this upswing and some activism, but we can't let it go at this point. We need to keep going, because just because we've been put on the safe list for now, we can't rest, because even if nothing changes in the immediate future, there's always going to be that sense of some sort of impending danger for the future. If it's not now, it may be 2 years from now. And we need to keep the ball rolling so that we keep the pressure on, we keep the public aware. We don't want to drop out of their consciousness, so that they keep the pressure on the legislators to pass something that we need to make the Postal Service viable into the future, keep our office open, as well as all the processing plants all around the country.
On our national event, which was Tax Day on the 17th, our national asked that the locals do something to render up support from our community and from our customers. And what our particular local did was go down to the main post office downtown, and we basically marched and rallied around the front of the post office. We also had some community people that came out in support of us. Center for Community Change was represented. The NAACP, their president, came in support of us because they understand the connection between labor and the community, and the importance of the post office to the community, especially those that are lower income or in your urban areas that will be severely affected by any loss of service. As it happens, our local 375 belongs to our Central Labor Council in North Carolina, in the Charlotte. We're the Southern Piedmont Central Labor Council that we belong to. And many of these community groups have relationships with our labor organizations in the city. So it's worked out really well. So we show support for each other. Most of our media in Charlotte see that there is going to be a lot that's going to be at loss for our public if anything happens to our services. And so they gave us an opportunity to voice our opinion, and we've been managed to maintain relationships with them. And they were there on April 17th to also record our plight. And much of the support comes from the community groups that get it, but we're still working on the day-to-day person who comes in to deliver, drop off their letter, pick up a stamp, that sort of thing. We're still working on that, and there's still a lot of work to be done, but I think people are beginning to get it. You can't really get across to the community and to the public how important your plight is unless your own people show up. So I always encourage, our members, our APWU members across the United States to please get involved, because the more you get involved, the more you show how important the issue is to you, and then it will begin to reflect to the public. These are the services that you use every day, and if they go away, this is going to adversely affect you in the future. So I think if our membership focus more attention on that rather than even at times our own personal plight, but the effects that it will have on the people that we serve, I think will go a long way with our message.
COPA, the Committee on Political Action, is a key vehicle for APWU members to engage in political action. COPA contributions help elect candidates who stand with postal workers and who will support legislation to ensure a sound future for the U.S. Postal Service. On Tuesday evening, delegates honored the top contributors to COPA. The celebration was led by a group of National Union officers, otherwise known as the COPA Divas.
Working every day with my union card. Jobs I went to China.